we've got some football fans in the room. Obviously, I'm repping the United stuff for the minute. Let's have a little touch on the new Champions League format. You know, United aren't in it at the moment, but I'm really enjoying it as a third party watching it with no interest really. How do you guys feel about the new Champions League format?
I'm enjoying it, man. I'm enjoying it, and I'm not. It's a novelty, yes, but if you play Football Manager, you would have known this was coming
Mm.
from 2000, I think two, when that game, when they introduced the new Champions League format. Obviously, they predicted. Football Manager has this algorithm where they predict what's going to happen based on what is going on inside of the game, right? So for me, watching this Champions League format where it's like, okay, you've got 20, 30, was it 36 teams, and only 24 go through to with the opportunity to go to the Champions League knockout phase. But the first eight automatically go through. So from 9 to 24, those teams will play each other in a two-leg knockout round
Yeah.
tie before they have to qualify for the last 16. I think that element is very, very interesting to me. You know, it's more games, yes, which I do also have a concern about player welfare, which we can get onto later. But at the same time, I feel like when you have Lille, who are mashing work right now in the Champions League, I don't think they conceded a goal. I think they won three. I think they won 4 out of 4, maybe conceding one or conceding none. They've
Yeah.
been one of the surprise factors. Brest, another League on team, French team, are also undefeated, I think, but they played teams of lesser quality or teams of similar quality to themselves. I feel like the games are providing more shots as well, you know, with Lille beating, I think they beat Juve and they beat Real Madrid. I think the games where you've got one-off ties provide more random and a better competitive balance in those games where, okay, Dortmund were playing Real Madrid at the Bernabeu and they were like, I believe they were 3-0 up at the time and they ended up losing the game 4-3, you know, Vinny hat trick.
Yeah.
Um, I think the games are a lot more entertaining because teams know that they're not going to play this team again, so they can go all out. You know, when you've got a team, when it was in a traditional format where you had, was it four in a group and you played everyone twice, you know, you can be a little bit more cagey because you know, okay, we're going to see this team again anyway. We don't need to do the most because you know they can scout our tactics. You know, we're going to watch them again, we're going to play them again. So I feel like the this year's Champions League is a lot more competitive. It feels like the actual Champions League. When you think about a league format, this is what it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm loving it right now, man.
That's good. That's good. I'm similar. I'm enjoying it as well. I think the additional games is probably the biggest problem for me because again, from a player welfare perspective, when you speak to footballers and they tell you like playing frequently and over a year takes a massive toll on the body. Like I was listening to an interview where Pep was speaking about how in the Premier League players are playing the equivalent of what NBA players are doing in a season, and the NBA players have like 3-4 games or 3-4 months off in the off season. And you think about it, in football, it's about what 4 weeks, and even that sometimes doesn't even feel like it's up to 4 weeks. So for me, that's my biggest concern with it. But I like how I feel like it makes the group stages a bit more competitive. Again, like if you don't handle your business in the games, like another team can jump up ahead of you, and there's not guarantee that you're going to be straight through to the next round. So for me, I love that aspect of it. I believe Real Madrid are in a bit of a spot of trouble at the moment, which again I think that adds more entertainment to it as well. With them
They'll
being,
be all right, man. They'll be all right.
yeah, they'll be fine. They'll get through. They'll
This is
get
what they do. This is what they do every Champions League, man. They flirt. They flirt. They try to create stories. You know, they flirt with like a few bad results, and before you know it, they come knockout round fixtures. They just start sweeping up everyone.
Yeah, and I think they will. I feel they'll handle business. Like, for me, I just love like you mentioning Lille, Brest, like two teams where I feel like naturally, if it was the normal Champions League style of play, both of those teams would be playing the Europa League in a couple of months. So for me, I think the way it's set up, it's making it more exciting. Yeah, and I think I like the idea, especially now I want to start going to more of these games. I like the idea of being able to go to just random countries as well.
Mm,
So yeah,
I'm with you guys. I've always thought this is the way I've always thought Champions Leagues and European football should be done. To be honest, is this like so initial league format and then break into a so so every team gets an opportunity to play a top team. They have the opportunity to. It's not the best of a certain group. It's actually the best of Europe. That's the way I feel anyway. It's great. And you know you're talking about these like great stories. You've got the Monacos. You've got Sporting. We're very happy to be having the sporting manager come over to United. So we've got Monaco, Brest, and then you've got teams like the classic teams like Inter, Liverpool. They're still up top. It's going to be really exciting to see a club like Aston Villa whether they can stay in that eighth position and not have to go through those an additional round of group stages. I think it's awesome, man. We're getting exciting games. I hope it continues like this. It's really really good to see, man. I'm enjoying it. So, what are the arguments that people are having against it? Though is the question I have for you guys.
I think the biggest thing is that I think it's an additional 2 games. I think it works out like an additional 2 games. So I think that's probably the biggest problem. And it feels like there's been a lot more ACL injuries. I don't know if maybe it's been reported a bit more, but it seems like there's been a lot of ACL injuries this season, a lot more than in previous seasons. So I think that's the biggest problem with it. I think if you have a situation where all the major teams get knocked out, it kind of defeats the point a little bit because the viewership will probably drop down a little bit, in my opinion, which is obviously not good for the TV right owners. So, yes, I like that it's more competitive, but if we have a situation where some of the big clubs are consistently not getting through, it's going to be interesting to see how that impacts everything.
Yeah. I think another one is confusion around how the format is going to work. A lot of people, they're quite resistant to change, when they're used to a particular system and a particular way of something being. When a new system comes in, their minds reject it quite quickly rather than trying to, understand what the system can bring and then giving it a try first. I think the extra games, though, and some of the injuries that are being caused, yes, I agree the player welfare has been at risk, but not necessarily because of the Champions League. I think it's these damn competitions like UEFA Nations League. No one cares about the UEFA Nations League, bro. I'm not watching those games. Honestly, I'm really not watching those UEFA Nations League games. It's either Champions League, Prem, a little bit of League, a little bit of Serie A. That's it. It has to be competitive. I think the most recent major ACL injuries have come from. I think Eder Militao recently did his second ACL in the space of 18 months, 2 years. Danny Carvajal's also had another ACL injury. But I also think it's not a coincidence that Real Madrid are having these injuries because they don't recruit well. Defensively, they don't buy additional players. They're still using the same centre-backs they used last season. Rudiger, Nacho left. They didn't really replace Nacho. Now they're having to use a Jesus Vallejo or an 18-year-old that came off the bench to get an assist. He plays centre-back now. They've had to use Tchouaméni at centre-back because they didn't recruit well. They don't have another right-back. They're using, what's his name? Lucas Vazquez.
Yeah, beautiful. Wow.
Rodri was one of the loudest voices in terms of player welfare. He's been saying for the last 2-3 years that they're playing too much football. What does he do? Goes and gets an ACL injury. And City have constantly played him every minute of every season for the past 4 years. I think there are other variable factors that come with this. And I also think clubs have to do better to recruit more numbers to support these players. Just because I get it, best players have to play, but you also need to have an insurance policy and know that, okay, if we're going to play 50, 60 games, which is our ambition, we need to have, a squad capable of supporting our best players. Otherwise, more injuries are going to start happening.
Yeah, I know. I agree. This is something that we touched on a few times now on the pod, and I'm a big advocate of, yes, there are too many games, but I think there are things that the clubs can do to support the players, and one of them is recruit better, have deeper squads, rotation, and maybe even have a player limit in terms of minutes that they can play a year. But yeah, that's just a few ideas from my perspective, boys.
I'm a different type of rock star. I got class and I got Henny overflowing up my shot glass. And yeah, I know I'm not a keeper, but can you be my mama seater by the time I'm done with